Good afternoon, everyone. I'm assuming people can hear me. You're very welcome to this special meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council. I'm going to pass initially to the Chief Executive to take us through a roll call.
I'm not hearing John.
No, neither am I. Morris here.
I can't.
Okay, give us a wee second and we'll see if we can get John sorted.
Sorry, members, I had just read the notice and summons of the meeting. I'll not go back over that again. But good afternoon, Minister, and good afternoon, members. Just running through the roll call. Alderman Breslin. Alderman Devaney.
Here, John.
Alderman Guy. Alderman Hussey.
Online, John. Apology from Alderman Guy. He's away at the moment.
Alderman Carrigan. Members, are we still having problems hearing me?
No.
Yep, no, I can hear you,
Okay.
John.
Don't think anybody can hear me today. Can they?
Oh, we can hear you, John.
Alderman McCready. Alderman Ramsey. Alderman Thompson.
Here, John.
Alderman Wark. Councillor Jason Barr.
Members, it would seem that John's having difficulty hearing us now, so if you just bear with us a second. Okay, I'm going to take us through the roll call. So we got as far as Alderman Thompson, who was here. Alderman Wark, not here. Councillor Jason Barr, not here. Councillor Raymond Barr. Councillor John Boyle.
Apologies, Mayor.
Councillor Michaela Boyle.
Shaw, Mayor.
Councillor Sean Kiar. Councillor Shauna Cusick. Councillor Angela Dobbins.
Apologies, Mayor.
Councillor Gary Donnelly. Councillor Emmett Doyle.
Here, Mayor.
And I am here. Councillor Stephen Edwards.
Here, Mayor.
Councillor Rory Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Rachel Ferguson.
Here.
Councillor Paul Fleming.
And Shaw, Mayor.
Councillor Paul Gallagher.
And Shaw.
Councillor Sean Harkin. Councillor Conor Heaney. Calls from him. Councillor Christopher Jackson.
And Shaw, Mayor.
Councillor Dan Kelly.
And Shaw, Mayor.
Councillor Patricia Logue. Councillor Emma McGinley.
Shaw, Mayor.
Councillor John McGowan.
And Shaw, Mayor.
Councillor Kieran Maguire. Councillor Rory McHugh. Apologies from him.
Apologies, Mayor.
Councillor Philip McKinney. Councillor Sean Mooney.
Here, Mayor.
Councillor Maeve O'Neill. Councillor Martin Riley.
Here, Mayor.
Councillor Lillian Sonoe Barr, and Councillor Brian Tierney.
Here, Mayor.
Thank you. I leave that there, and hopefully the Chief Executive can get online shortly. So I'll move on to the next item, which is the statement of remote meetings. So I would like to remind everyone who is in remote attendance that this meeting will be broadcast live via the Council's YouTube channel and will be available for viewing by the public and media. The broadcast will also be available for repeated viewings at a later date. The broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with Council protocol. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. By participating in this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. A copy of the Council's privacy notice is available on the Council website. So thank you. That concludes that bit. Declarations of members' interest. If people want to pop any declarations of interest in the chat box, that would be useful. In terms of chairperson's business, I don't have any chairperson's business for today, and nobody else has contacted me to raise anything, which brings us directly on to the business of the meeting. And I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the Minister, John O'Dowd, to the meeting and thank him for his attendance today. As a council area, the A5, we have had numerous notices of motions in support of the A5 and getting that infrastructure into this area in relation to the need for connectivity, but also in the need for road safety, as it is one of the most dangerous roads that we have seen, and we have seen many fatalities and bad accidents upon the road. So we understand that there have been numerous delays in terms of the progression of the A5, but as a council, we are keen to see it progress. So, Minister, we are really delighted to have you here today. We requested that you come to give us a verbal update. I am acutely aware that as Minister, you probably may have only 9 days left, but glad to get an update from you before that time is up. So, Minister, I'm going to pass over to you if you're content enough to provide us with a verbal update.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to your council colleagues and council officers for their kind invite today. It is important that I as Minister, keep local councils appraised of developments in relation to the A5 and progress that I hope to make on the A5, even in the short period of time I have left in this office. As you alluded to in your opening comments, since 2011, there has been 32 lives lost on the A5, and there have been 5 lives lost in recent months. Each one of those is a story in itself. It's not a statistic. That is a lost loved one, and family homes across our island and indeed further afield are missing loved ones as a result of accidents on the A5. And while all roads carry certain dangers, it's quite clear that the A5 has now become a road which is presenting dangers to its users because of the volume and the type of road that it is. It's simply not fit for purpose. And hence the reason why I'm so keen to progress the A5 for road safety reasons and also for economic development reasons. If we are to economically develop Derry and the west in that region, then we need proper road infrastructure to do so. And the A5 is proper. The new A5 will be proper road infrastructure to allow inward investment and indeed foreign direct investment into that part of the world to create well-paid jobs and to give an economic return to the people who live in that area, both rural and urban. So as I say, I'm determined to do all that I can to progress the significant flagship project. The new carriageway is vital in terms of road safety. The latest developments are that in September 2020, the department received an interim report from the Planning Appeals Commission on its findings from the public inquiry held in February and March 2020. It contained 2 key recommendations in relation to the need for further assessments on flood risk and scheme alternatives. The PAC adjourned the public inquiry to allow these recommendations to be incorporated into a new addendum to the environmental statement and made available for further public consultation. The new environmental statement and associated documents were published on the 16th of March of this year, commencing a consultation process that concluded on the 16th of May. And Mayor, it's worth noting that there was around 200 responses to that consultation. The majority of those were from individuals or groups that were opposed to the A5. And that is not a true reflection of the public support and elected representative support that there is for the new A5. So if there is further consultation in relation to this project required at different phases, then I would encourage everyone who supports the A5 to make their voices heard, and particularly institutions such as local councils in particular. Now, the consultation process, as you're aware, is not itself an election or a plebiscite. We don't base it on the number of consultations in support of one item or another item. It's based on the evidence for which those consultation responses provide. We have since presented our addendum to the PAC. I had hoped the PAC would meet again pre-Christmas, and indeed I was in correspondence with them over the summer asking them to meet pre-Christmas to move this process along. Unfortunately, they do not appear to be in a position to meet pre-Christmas. In fairness, I suspect they have their own resource challenges as well, as every other public sector body. But they will hopefully meet in early spring. If there is a positive return in relation to their decisions, then I would hope that we could commence construction on the A5 early 2024 with completion of the scheme by 2028. But I caveat that with those comments with this. The major delays, or some of the major delays to the A5, has been as a result of legal actions being taken by particular the group opposed to the A5. Every time there is a legal action taken against the A5, you can add a year to 18 months to the clock for the completion or the start of the A5. And I don't deny anyone's right to legally challenge and bring their concerns forward. But we've now reached the stage where this proposal has been thoroughly examined in courts, and the PAC will make their findings known, and as I say, I hope they're positive. But if the PAC findings are positive, it's now time for everyone to come down on the side of road safety, protecting lives and protecting livelihoods in relation to the A5. The debate is over if the PAC can form a positive response. What we now need is building work to start on the A5. And I conclude my remarks there, Mayor. I'm sure members have questions they would like to ask.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, we have 3 speakers already in our chat box. So I'll bring them in the order that they have appeared. So to start with, I'll bring in Councillor Edwards.
Mayor, thank you very much. And I want to first thank the Minister's officials for coming to Council to provide an update. And I speak on behalf of the SDLP, and as a party, we are fully behind the A5 upgrade. Mayor, I originally brought a proposal following an A5N2 working group meeting with the Minister last month for Council to reinstate its corporate position in supporting the A5 upgrade. And recently I've also met with Daniel Hiddy, the DRM for the Western Division on this issue, and I know firsthand that the Department and the Minister are doing all they can to advance the scheme. Mayor, the A5 for me is the single most important road upgrade on the island, given that the current A5 is such a dangerous road. The A5 upgrade will save countless lives, increase connectivity to the northwest, and bring important economic boost to the area, along with job creation. And the Minister has outlined the level of deaths on the current A5 is staggering. I think since the scheme was first announced, I think it was back in 2006, there's been around 50 deaths on the road, which is absolutely shocking, and thousands of injuries as well. And I have received information from the department as well that says that the A5 upgrade will prevent over 2,000 collisions, save 19 lives, and save over 2,700 injuries over a 60-year period. So I think the case for upgrading it in terms of increasing safety on the road is definitely there. The evidence is there. I've also attended multiple funerals and have stood by the graves of people who lost loved ones on the road. They're all looking for action to get the road completed as soon as possible. And as the Minister already said there, Mayor, the A5 for me it currently is a death trap. I live on the A5, I travel daily, and I do believe that there needs to be urgent safety upgrades to the current A5, and those need to happen immediately. And I do welcome some action taken around Gavahi following the death of 3 young men last Christmas, additional street lighting and road marking, but I think there's a lot more that needs to be done on the current road, and I've outlined those to the DRM. The delays to the scheme have left so many people, in my view, believing that the scheme will never happen, or that it won't happen in our lifetime, and I think we all do need to come together to ensure that the scheme goes ahead. The SLP does have huge concerns about the future of the A5 upgrade. If the Stormont Executive is not up and running, although it is a flagship project, there is a concern there that there's no guarantees if the Executive falls that there will be the same willingness to advance the scheme if the Executive does fall. Mayor, as well, we also have concerns around future legal challenges. An issue that was raised by the Minister there, the Alternative A5 Alliance, a small minority of people who actually have no alternative, will likely bring another legal case which will hamper and delay the scheme, and that is very concerning. And I have sought assurances from the Minister again last month that he'll do all he can to make sure the I's are dotted, T's are crossed in terms of advancing the scheme. I've also, Mayor, and I'll come to questions now, I've received some criticism in recent weeks around the budget for the scheme, but in my view, I think there's never a good time to build a road or have a major infrastructure project advance. And I would like to ask the Minister how confident is he in getting budget approval for the scheme, and can I ask him as well whether he's advanced or whether he's engaged with his counterparts in the south around the Southern Government reinstating this 400 million. Mayor, on a final point as well, I've also received some correspondence in recent weeks around the environment and environmental impacts of the scheme, and I have rebutted that in terms of, you know, as we do move towards getting rid of diesel and petrol cars off our road, I have said we'll be moving to hydrogen, we'll be moving to electric. We still need that infrastructure in there, not only for commuters in terms of work or for tourism, but we also need it for our own local businesses and for freight and haulage as well. Overall, Mayor, I do thank the Minister for his update and for having the same passion as advancing the A5 as his predecessor, Nick Mullen, and I do urge him to do all he can, hopefully in the weeks and months ahead, not in the days ahead, to advance the scheme. And I just want to again thank the Minister and his officials for attending. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Minister, if you allow, we'll bring in the speakers and then bring you back in at the end if you're content.
Yes, that's okay.
Councillor Michaela Boyle.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Minister, for attending today and giving us that update. As there is much speculation around this road, particularly in this part of the country, whether it'll go ahead or not. But I appreciate the update today. Minister, I can recall a way back in a previous life where I would have been PA to Pat Doherty, MP MLA at the time, and I remember Pat, who started the campaign for the upgrade of the A5 a very, very long time ago. So I suppose disappointing that we're still here trying to get it off the ground. But I think the next stage of the public inquiry is when, and I think we do, you're absolutely right, we need a positive campaign. For me, the public support for the road to go ahead evidentially outweighs the dissenting voices. So I think we all need to be on board. We need a positive campaign, and Minister, you know, I'm just very conscious how we get other groups with a vested interest on getting the scheme to happen, motivated and engaged, and I'm talking particularly around road haulage and motor groups, and you know, are they, how we can influence them going forward. I mean, obviously, you know, it's always the talk west of the Ban about the A5 being the priority, not just for us in the west, but it opens up the whole road network for West Tyrone, Derry, Donegal and Dublin in terms of the economic investment. However, it is eclipsed by the health and safety issues, as it is deemed one of the most treacherous roads in the island of Ireland. The scheme does need to go ahead as outlined, absolutely. If you take the A4 Dungannon to Belfast, the reduction in road fatalities within that particular area since the dual carriageway, you know, we all know the families that have been bereaved by fatalities on the A5, particularly from this part of the country. And it's, you know, it's I suppose there's a bit of confidence there, Minister, when you say, you know, when the PAC have deliberated on the verdict, you know, the debate is over, and, you know, hopefully we can get it progressed at that stage. Minister, just in terms of what's being said, and Councillor Edwards alluded to it, you know, as I say, there's much speculation, obviously, and these cost of living and financial pressure on every department and every government body. But how reassured are we that post consultation, that the resources are there, given the amount of money already spent to date on the A5 and the scheme? So I think the public need reassurances in that regard, in terms of both governments as well too, given the financial deficit that we find from all government departments, not least your own, Minister. But just thank you again for attending today. We appreciate your time and effort that you have put into this campaign and your short tenure as DfI Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. Councillor McKinney.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in, and thank you, Minister, for taking the time out to speak to us. On behalf of the Alliance Party, we fully support the project for the A5 N2. Just to really ask you about the legal action with regards to PAC. If the PAC give the go-ahead, and then these other groups decide to take legal action again, have you got the authority to turn around and draw a line in the sand and say, enough's enough, let's get on with it? Another thing I'd like to say as well, I'm on the A5N2 group as well with Councillor Edwards. Not so long ago, we had a meeting in the group, and one of the members of the group, thankfully Oma Council and not ours, spoke up and brought the question up about farmers looking more money. I think he's a farmer himself. There could be a problem there, right? But he mentioned about money for farmers, feeling that they were stroked with regards to the Dungannon, Ballygawley dual carriageway, and he felt that they didn't want to be stroked again with the A5. And I don't know if that's a red herring or not, but I just thought I'd ask you that question. We may get confirmation from yes or no. So thank you, as I say, for taking the time out to speak to us, and that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKinney. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. And on behalf of the DUP, can I just welcome Minister O'Dowd here to give us a briefing on the A5. And I think everyone on this meeting would agree it would be an important piece of infrastructure for the Northwest if we could get it to go ahead. I do take on board, Minister, what you said. Those legal actions and challenges, they have that right. That's always there. We can't just obliterate that. But probably the same question is in around some of the other speakers have asked, Minister. It's all around the budget. Is it feasible? Is it doable now? Because when we look at how much has been spent on the A5 till date, it has been a fortune. And look, with the crisis in funding at the moment, you know, I would like to hear your opinion on the budget. And one of the previous speakers did mention in around compensation for those who may lose land. And I know probably those discussions were going on probably a decade ago, but Minister, and I'm sure you're well aware, the price of agricultural land has increased probably maybe threefold, fourfold, if not more. Where land used to be 5, 6, 7,000 pound an acre, you could be into 20,000 pound an acre. And I think it's just appropriate to mention just that we hope that if the project was to go ahead, that those who are losing land would receive the recommended compensation around that. But look, I will say that we are very supportive of the A5. Now, to be fair, at the start of the A5, I was in favour of upgrading the old A5, but look, we are where we're at now at the moment. But Minister, just those concerns and around the budget and delivery, and if it was to go ahead, would it be a phased process, as we have heard about this last number of years? Thank you, Minister and Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Three more speakers. Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting us in. And thank you, Minister, for the update. And maybe I just want to maybe put it a different way. Minister, like also in your role, you are in charge of MOTs for vehicles. And the purpose of that is to ensure that vehicles are fit for purpose for the road. And that's the law. And that law is there to protect lives. When you say that no, the debate is over, the stats have been done, lives are at risk daily, and you're saying this road is not fit for purpose for vehicles to be on, then why can we not make it the law that this road needs to be upgraded? Because, as you say, the argument has been done, dusted, it's consultations, the engagement has been done. We've seen the pros and cons, and the pros far outweigh, and the stats says it clear. Then why can it not be introduced that it must be done? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your attendance, Minister. You referred, I think, in your remarks back to 2011 and the incidents that have occurred since then. As Councillor Boyle McKilla has indicated, the old Team West Tyrone, which you may have heard tell of, the 6 MLAs from West Tyrone at that time, which included Pat Doherty, were united in their concerns about the road, basically from Dungannon through to the city to Londonderry. The Dungannon Ballagolly A4, that has been completed, and we know the results of what has happened there. So it is not unreasonable that people have their concerns about delay after delay after delay. And someone else earlier on said, enough is enough. It is time to call a halt to all of the concerns, but not to ignore the concerns. Councillor McKinney mentioned there the differential between what those landowners on the A4 section received vis-a-vis what was being offered to the landowners on the A5 proposed upgrades, and that was a concern. It wasn't pie in the sky. It wasn't fabricated. There were genuine concerns that the land valuation was lower than that was offered on the A4. That's fact. Councillor Devaney, Alderman Devaney has referenced the tremendous rise in land prices, and that has to be taken into consideration going forward when we get the go-ahead, which I hope will happen early spring, and the process can start. There's also concerns reference the division of farms being split by the road. There are other parts of the current A4, one part in particular, just outside Mahara Mason, where an underpass has been provided for the particular landowner. I would hope that that would be a consideration that the designers of the scheme will take on board. I know that at Ballamagorry on the Greenlaw Road, there are residential concerns there that a certain section will be cut off from leisure facilities basically there. So again, that sort of mitigation of concerns has got to be within the pot. Now, everyone is in favour. Let's get this job done. And can I put on another hat as chair of the Northwest Regional Development Group? That group is ourselves, Derry City and Strabane, and Donegal County Council. And we exist to work on issues of mutual benefit. This is an issue of mutual benefit to the entire Northwest. And I have no doubt, I do in fact know that letters, etc., will have gone in from the Northwest Group to the department in support of this. So we're not just talking about our own council area, we're talking about the entire Northwest. Now, speaking as an Ulster Unionist, my concern is the link to the A4 so that I can get to Belfast quicker. I see Sandra smiling there, but she will understand what I mean. Again, it's mutual benefit that this scheme should progress. As I say, this goes way back to the original setup of the Assembly in 1998. And I mean, I sat on the old DRD committee, and it was a topic of conversation at that stage. So it is taking a long time, and I do trust that yourself, Minister, your shoulder is to the wheel. I trust that your predecessor, whoever follows you, not your predecessor, but whoever follows you, should it not be yourself, will continue the same momentum. We need it. We need it ASAP. I can't say we need it now because we know the logistical arrangements that would have to be put in place around this. But as I say, totally support of the A5, and thanks for your attendance, Minister.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. And one final speaker, Councillor Martin Riley.
Thank you, Mayor, for bringing me in, and thank you to the Minister for your time this afternoon. It's most appreciated. Minister, in your opening remarks, you touched on road safety and the importance of that, and the majority of people traveling to our city have to rely on inadequate infrastructure getting here, and we know that in relation to the A5, the difficulties that road presents means more people travel on the A6 than would normally be the case. So any update you can give in relation to the conclusion of the roadworks on the A6 and the opening of that scheme would be greatly appreciated. And in that junction, in relation to road safety, at the end of what was meant to be the final phase of the A6 extension, bringing the road in from Drumahoe into Grantia and Call Roundabout, there is a large housing application which has just been given planning approval by this council earlier this month. That ties in the developer there to work with your department to deliver much needed upgrades of traffic signalisation at both Caw and Grantia roundabouts. So any update you can give in relation to the road safety there would be appreciated, because that roundabout at Caw ranks in the top 5 locations for road accidents across Northern Ireland, both the junction as you come off the Folly Bridge heading to the airport, and then also on the junction when you reach the roundabout from the Folly Bridge. So 2 of the top 5 accident black spots across Northern Ireland are at the one location in our city and district. The PCSP has written to you in relation to that, and I would ask that you engage with the local PCSP and others to see what can be done to improve the safety for all those who use that key junction in our city and district. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Minister, I'm going to pass back to you. There's quite a number of questions there, but a lot of them do seem to centre around the budget and how it's going to be paid for. There's a number of other questions there in relation to farmers and compensation and adaptations that could possibly be done, but there seems to be overall support for the A5, which doesn't surprise me. As a council, we have always been very supportive of getting the work done and getting the upgrade started. So, Minister, I'll pass over to yourself.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the councillors and aldermen who voiced their support for the A5, but also have legitimate questions in relation to a number of areas around it, and I'll cover those as best I can. In relation to the budget, The budget isn't the problem at this moment in time. The problem we have is continued delays caused by various challenges, etc. But of course, we have to look forward and see how we pay for this significant piece of infrastructure moving forward. And given that it is an executive flagship project, therefore there is a responsibility on an incoming executive to ensure that there's proper finance in place to deliver this project. So I would be our future executive ministers and whoever makes up the next executive, there's already an agreement made that this project should go ahead. So therefore that has to be factored in to future budgets. I have had engagements with Minister Ryan around the financing which was promised from the South. I'm told that's still available. I have no reason to doubt that. I'm continuing that engagement with our counterparts in Dublin in that regard, and also looking at in terms of clearly there has been an increase in costs since this was first envisaged and agreements were made back then. So I'm engaging with those around that. I also am engaging with Whitehall departments around this, and I've raised it at any opportunity I have. The recent Union Connectivity Review, which was carried out by Whitehall, mentions the A5 as an important piece of infrastructure and recognises the importance of it to the region. I have pointed that out to Whitehall ministers and said, look, you recognise the importance of this. Some people may have a different point of view on Union Connectivity Review and its purpose, but to me, the economic well-being of us all on these islands, regardless of your point of view, is bettered by us having good connectivity between these islands. So I have no difficulty in pushing an agenda which sees a document called the Union Connectivity Review being used to promote connectivity across this island and with our neighbouring islands. It makes economic sense to do that, and I'll continue to push it. I've also raised it obviously through the Levelling Up Fund and other avenues as well, with ministers from Whitehall or officials from Whitehall to put it on their agenda. So the onus is on the executive. There's an onus on the Dublin government, and there's also an onus on Westminster to continue to ensure that there's funding available to build the A5. And given the size of the scale of support for it, I would be confident in that approach to it. In regards legal challenges and whether I can stop them or not, I can't stop them. I have no legal authority to say no. That legal challenge is going no further. I'm moving on. If a legal challenge is lodged through a judicial review, then that judicial review has to be heard, and I, as a minister in my department, have to robustly challenge that. And we have been very careful, and my officials have been very careful in every step they have taken in recent times or over a period of time to ensure that they're closely engaging with a barrister on how and why and when they proceed with documentation they're submitting in regards to the A5. And we have been conscious that there are people who will use any opportunity to legally challenge the A5, and we are preparing the ground to minimise the opportunity for legal challenge and to ensure we have a legally robust answer to that. And I would hope in the future that any legal challenge that comes forward, a part of our defence will be to the judge the importance of the A5 to this health and well-being and the safety of citizens moving forward, and that any legal challenge is heard quickly, efficiently, and then a decision is reached quite quickly. In terms of the agricultural land, there is a process for setting the price. I assume it's through the LPS, the Land Property Service, for setting price. I have no wish to hoodwink or do over any farmer, and farmers quite rightly and understandably want properly compensated for their land. And I'd said at a previous meeting around the A5, I'm from a rural background. I understand the connection between families and land and the history that's connected with. It's not simply a field or a number of fields. It's part of your DNA. It's part of your history and your family history. And you simply sometimes can't judge that in terms of financial compensation. So yes, I want to see that approached sympathetically, ensuring that the proper market price is paid, and the recognition of what we are asking some of these farmers to do in terms of giving up this land for the betterment of the good of society. And indeed, in terms of engineering solutions to some of the issues, of course, they should be explored. If there's engineering solutions available to ensure that farms aren't disconnected from each other, or fields, cross fields aren't disconnected, whether that's under a subway, whatever it may be, of course they should be explored moving forward. See, I'm just going through the list here in terms of questions. You see legal action along Inwood, West Road 6. The history, I'm also, the assembly history of this, and going back, maybe not as far back as Derek and others who were in the original assembly, but setting aside the legal challenges, delivering major infrastructure projects is quite lengthy, complicated, and convoluted, and a lot of that is down to what regulations and stipulations we as politicians have placed on our public service to carry out. Of course, many of them are important in protecting the environment, ensuring public money spent wisely, etc. But overall, we as an executive, we as a political class, have to get better at delivering public projects in a more timely manner, and ensuring that when we're publishing reports or responses to previous incidents, that we don't put a layer of bureaucracy on top of another layer of bureaucracy, which means that projects such as the A5 can be delayed for very, very long periods of time because all that bureaucracy has to go through. So we have to get better at doing and delivering public projects. Councillor Riley's comments about the A6. This is a source of huge frustration to me and to many people, and you will understand that more than most, because your constituents are looking at now what looks to be a finished road, but they can't drive on it. The COVID pandemic had a major impact on major construction projects, as you will be aware, and it is also continuing to have a major impact on the supply chain. Inflation's having an impact on the supply chain, shortages across the world are having an impact on the supply chain, and that's impacting the A5. My officials have been engaging on a daily, sometimes, if not weekly basis with the contractors around how we move this project on and how we get it completed. We're still a matter of months away from it being completed. There are significant pieces of infrastructure still to be placed on the A5. The main building work is largely completed. The drainage is largely completed, etc. The surfacing is largely completed, but we still have to put up signage, safety barriers, a number of other items have to be installed, and then there has to be a safety check carried out on the road to ensure that the road is safe. And all those things cannot be avoided. I have suggested, can we not open the road to reduce speed of traffic, etc. I'm going to continue to explore all these things, but when you come up with one idea, there is always an issue at the other side of it, which may cause further delay or further expense. And I'm trying to keep an eye on the expense as well, as trying to get the road open. Though, if I'd been here a fortnight ago, I probably would have been more pessimistic about progress, but there has been significant progress made over this last fortnight, which I think will pay dividends for your constituents and get that road open as quickly as possible. The issue around the call roundabout and the housing development and the planning, I'm not across all the detail of that, Councillor Riley, but I will get my officials to write to you or to the council about that, to ensure that the council's fully informed of what the issues are there. I think I've covered most of the issues. If I haven't, I'm sure you'll come back to me.
Thank you, Minister. No, you have covered all the questions that I had certainly noted down, so no, we appreciate that. Minister, I don't have anyone else indicating to speak again, to come back. I think that the overall feeling of this meeting, which, as I said, doesn't surprise me, as our own corporate position has always been in support of the A5 and getting the upgrade started and getting it completed, for the reasons outlined in terms of road safety and the economic benefit that it will have for the Northwest. So it doesn't surprise me that everyone on this call is very supportive of getting that done. I suppose one of the things that as a council we need to probably be doing is ensuring that we engage very positively with any public inquiries that are ongoing or starting around DA5 to ensure that positive voices are heard, as you have indicated at the start, 200 responses and the majority of them being negative. So I suppose we as a council area, which is significantly impacted, we probably need to ensure that our voices are well heard in that mix in terms of the overall positive benefits for health, well-being and safety of our citizens that we need the A5 done and completed. Councillor Edwards asked about interim safety upgrades. Okay, sorry, Minister, there was a question I seem to have missed, but
I'm happy enough to answer that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed that, yes.
yeah, I missed it too. Go ahead, Minister.
So, as you'll be aware, there's been a number of schemes completed in recent years on the A5, including resurfacing and alignment works, as well as improvements for pedestrians at Ballymacrory, and surfacing in relation to lay-bys also completed in the Milltown close to Victoria Bridge. There are other, and you'll also have seen at Garvahi, where there was that tragic accident last Christmas, where there has been road improvements there, and there's going to be street lighting. I think street lighting has already commenced at that junction, so hopefully that will improve road safety at that location. And there's also a number of other road improvements for the A5 included in the local transport and safety measures programme for 2020-23. There are proposals to upgrade the road signage on the A5 from Auchnacloy to Ballygolly, and this follows on from the recent upgrade of road markings and signage along the A5 between Ballygolly and Omagh. Other proposed works includes a junction scheme on the A5 Great Northern Road, Omagh at Homebase Junction, and 3 resurfacing schemes which will improve the skid resistance on the existing road. I'll have officials put that all in writing to you, because there's quite a bit of detail there, and I'll ask officials to put that in writing to you, so you will have that information in front of you.
Thank you, Minister. It's John Kelpie, the Chief Executive here. Unfortunately, this time we've now lost the Mayor. So my apologies for that. I think, Minister, all of our members have commented at this stage, and I'm seeing in the chat box a number of members coming through with thanks and appreciation for your time and for answering the many questions involved. So just on behalf of the Mayor, can I just check if there are any other members who want to come in at this point? Or indeed, Minister, if you have any final comments you wish to make.
Other than to thank you for the council for the invite. I appreciate the council is fully behind this scheme, and of course they will make representations on behalf of their constituents, and their genuine concerns we can deal with, and we will continue to deal with. So thank you for your continued support. Thank you for today's engagement, and all the best for the future.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you, members. And on behalf of the Mayor, safe home, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Minister. Thanks, John.